Welcome to the cast of Merrily, We Roll Along. I mean, wow. Hello. Okay, so I'm Benj Pasek. I'm a songwriter, and I'm so, thank you. And I am so honored and excited to be with you on this very special night. I'm playing the role of moderator tonight, but this night was brought to you by American Express, which is the official card of Merrily, We Roll Along. I don't know if you all knew that. Yeah. In addition to all of the American Express card members with us, we are also joined, which is near and dear to my heart, by 100 young writers who were winners of the Rooftop Writers Initiative. And this was a contest that was held in collaboration with American Express, the American Theater Wing's Jonathan Larson Grant, and the Stephen Sondheim Foundation. The writers gathered here tonight possess remarkable promise, opening doors to a new era of creativity across theater, film, music, prose, and beyond. Your selection was based on the exceptional potential showcased in your submissions and the captivating stories you shared. It is such an honor to have you all with us tonight. So I'm so thrilled to be moderating this. Merrily We Roll Along, as I think Lindsay knows, it's my favorite musical of all time. This is the sixth production that I've seen. I've seen your production 3 times. I'm obsessed with it. I wrote a college essay on it. Like, I really am like a deep nerd about it. But I'm just gonna lob a pretty easy question to you guys, which is, what do you love most about being in this show? And before you speak, say who you are, say who you play in the show, and then have at it. Anybody feel brave after your triumphant performance?
Okay.
Come on, Daniel Radcliffe, you got
pointed
this.
at me, so I'm going to start. Yeah, I'm Dan. I play Charlie. And yeah, I mean.
Do you have an accent?
Yes. I might slip back into American at some point. It's not affectation if I do. It's just genuinely. I'm not going like fully Austin Butler and becoming Elvis, but it stays for a while. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to say. There are so many things to love about this show. Getting to do something where the material is just this good. There is so much to mine. I've never done a show that I've still done something for this long that I still really just 99% of the time don't have to work to be emotionally affected by. Like, it just happens all the time. And that's because of the story and because of everybody that I'm on stage with. And you know, I sometimes just get overwhelmed with a feeling of like, you know, the things that are thematically really go with the show, with like love and also of the kind of transience of time. And just, I keep having moments where we have to like stop looking at each other because it's the end of the play and we have to be happy. But there's like there's moments in the art time scene where I have a real flash forward to like doing this for the last time and hearing him say certain things for the last time. And yeah, it's just, it doesn't stop. You know, feeding you is the really wanky way I thought of saying that. So yeah.
It's lovely. Anybody else?
I'd like to add, I think the cast is my favorite part. I'm Morgan, by the way. I'm Morgan. I'm a swing. And dance captain on the show, and the company of people. It is like just like top notch. And I know everybody says that about every cast, but I'm right.
What is the first Sondheim piece that spoke to you? Of all the Sondheim pieces, I'm looking at you, kid.
I wasn't trying to answer that question. I was trying to answer the other question.
Okay, well, let's go back. Let's Merrily We Roll Along and go back in time. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. We go backwards, so it's fine. No, I just honestly, it is the people. Like, this is my 6th Broadway show, and no shade. Oh, hey, thanks. AMDA represent. By the way, there's some AMDA people here. So, yeah. This has just been a very special journey with really special people. And I've loved every cast I've ever got to work with, but this particular group of people, the way that we like incubated this show downtown, and we had 4 dressing rooms between all 20 some odd of us, and so we were really, really bonded together in this really special way. And then just being able to tell the story of artists and friendship and love and what happens as we get older, and relationships that we let go of, and I find it to be like the most rewarding thing. Like, I have friends right now from high school that are flying in tonight to see this show, and every single time I have people come see this show, it is such a cathartic experience, and we get to go back and think about our dreams on the roof. We've all had those dreams on the roof. And so just being able to live in that and to give that gift of this art like back to other artists is always the best thing for me. And then I really love the diversity in this cast, and I love like what we're bringing to this in this really fresh, beautiful way. And yeah, so it feels, it's something that's from 40 some odd years ago, but it feels so present today. It feels so palpable and so special. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons I love it, so.
That's so true. I feel like one of the things you'd sparked something for me, which is that I've never done a show where I have thought so much about my personal life during the show. And I think that the show is meant for the audience, for you guys, yes, to track the character's journey, but also for you to think about your lives and where you are and to reflect. I feel like it's such a testament to writing something super personal. When we're inside of it, it feels like, we never got to ask the authors of the show. George Furth and Sondheim passed by the time we started rehearsal on this production, but it feels extremely personal. And like, I've never told you this, but when we do it's the downtown club, and I go over there, and you and Reg are sitting at the table. The other day, it was like a week ago, I had this flash of when I was waiting tables on Christina Applegate, and she was doing Sweet Charity, and she had broken her ankle, and her foot was in a boot, and she was with two dancers, and she asked me to make a latte, and I freaked out because I was so bad at steaming the milk. And I couldn't believe she asked me for a latte, of all things. But I was like, oh my God, it's Shirley Akinola, like this famous actress. Anyway, flashes like that happen all the time, and it's such a life-changing experience to get to do the show, because it feels like the writing, because it's so personal, because it's so brilliant, it changes you from the inside out. It's the reason I feel like to do theater, because you do the same thing over and over again, and when it's this profound, it really does change you from the inside out, doing it over and over again.
There are a lot of young writers in the audience tonight. What do you guys look for when you are looking for a piece that you want to be a part of? As these folks endeavor to write their shows, their poems, their plays, their musicals, what does the Broadway cast of Merrily Roll Along look for when they say, I really want to be a part of that production?
Oh man, I just want to connect with it. I want to feel like I can read these characters and get inside of them, I guess. I think obviously, stories are, vastly different, and music is vastly different, and all of that kind of doesn't matter. If I can empathize and get inside someone's story, then I'm all in. But it is, it's surprising too, for me, I can read something and know it's brilliant, but know that I'm not the person for it. I do that all the time. Very rarely do I feel like the person, but when you do, you're like, I am the person. But yeah, that's what I generally look for. I don't know about y'all. Dan?
Yeah,
Dan?
I'd love to know this, Dan, to be honest.
I don't know. It's partially that. It's partially from a perspective that does not help the writers in the audience. It's partially as an actor knowing what you'll write for and knowing what you can bring something to that, somebody else couldn't, or that excites you, or whatever it is. But I don't know. The thing that grabs me always is just a voice and a style, and I know that's another completely ineffable thing to say. But there's I don't know, something that are there children in the room? Something that does what the...
Yes.
Okay. Something that does what the hell it likes. A story that you can talk a lot about like structure and this and that, but ultimately, like, I don't know, one of my favorite things I've ever done was a film called Swiss Army Man, which is basically like, is essentially like 5 montages. No one would tell you to do that. Like, but if you've got like an idea and a premise and something that's exciting, and it doesn't have to be something crazy like that. This is just literally the story of 3 people's lives going together, trying to stick together and fall apart. And you know, it's a really simple story in a lot of ways, but it's so well mined, and whatever the premise that you set up is, just like explore it as thoroughly as possible. That was a bit of a ramble, but that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I'm always attracted to working with people's personalities. So if you're somebody who is just like, I found this thing, I'd love to hear it out loud. I think most actors would probably agree. If you're excited about something, we can probably get behind it and be like, I'll give it a shot, whatever, yeah, let's go.
A friend of mine says people become passionate about what other people are passionate about, and I think there's a contagion to that. Have you hit any road bumps along the way? And if so, how do you navigate the road bumps? How do you keep going? I'm sure you guys have just all had it so easy, so there's nothing ever wrong ever. So easy. But when you get stuck, what do you do? Or how do you find the inspiration to pivot or move through?
I mean, I was just saying this the other day, like, you know, this is a musical comedy, and you really can't find all of the humor until you have an audience. And I look at every show as like a workshop. You know, I'm always trying things. If I feel like something maybe could be better, then we keep working on it. And that's what I love about doing theater. I've been filming a series too, and you don't get that chance on TV. You know, you you do it and it's over, and then you go home and go to bed and you're like, damn it, I should have done this thing. You know, but it's like, that's too late. But the amazing thing about us getting to do this 8 times a week is like, we're constantly like, oh my gosh, we discovered this thing. This feels great here. This, you know, I could say this a little differently, or I could sing this a little differently. And that's what I love the most about doing this. So I don't know. I mean, I'm always like failing left and right, but I like to try things. And so those, if the roadblock hits, like I'm like, oh, there's always tomorrow. There's always 2 shows tomorrow. I'll try it. So, yeah.
I think it's going to sound really cliche, but I think something that I've learned in this process specifically, either before and during, is the people around you are really important. Like, just last week, I hit a roadblock in this show, and the first person I ran to and held me while I cried was literally Dan. And, like, that is, like, really special to be able to know that you are so held by the people around you. And I think, like, in those moments of fear and insecurity and heartbreak and pain, that the only thing I actually really want to do is sing, obviously, but no, is actually like, is call my boyfriend or text a friend that I need, or just like let it out and know that like I will be held and everything will be okay. So just like as you move forward, I think finding your people that no matter where you are, whether you're at your highest high or your lowest low, they're gonna see you as you were when it's just you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
I just want to add really quick, like, this was a big aha moment for me, but remembering that everything is temporary is like literally the thing that I think gets me through the hardest moments when I'm like, oh, I'm grieving this thing, or I didn't get that job, or I didn't get this. Like, even just remembering to have gratitude for this show when you do it 8 shows a week and you're tired and you're whatever, you're like, but this is gonna be over before I know it. And remember, like, that's the good things and the bad things. The good things that we can, like, go, you can really take that gratitude and go, oh my gosh, like, I want to sit in this moment and feel this. And then there are other moments where things are hard, rejection happens, failure, breakups, whatever the things that happen, and then you just go, I'm going to feel like this for a little while. And then the next thing is going to come, and you're going to move on. And then you have to remember the many times that you have moved on previously. And be like, oh, I've actually like fallen and gotten up like 17,000 times. And that helps you to remember that you actually are extremely resilient, and that you, every time you fall, you just kind of like learn faster that you're gonna get over it even faster. So everything is temporary, and it needs to happen. You need to have a full human experience. You need to be having failures and trials and tribulations so that you can actually like put it into your work. Like these people are very, very deep. They've gone through a lot of things, and they can mine some of that stuff from their person and their life experience, but then they can also like let it go. You know, like when we walk out of here, we can let it go, but we can also access it. So your heartbreak and your pain and your suffering, you can use it, but you also have to appreciate it and deal with it and allow yourself to process it, and then know that you will be stronger on the other end.
I guess I just also like to say that I think there's like a myth about work in this industry, particularly as an actor or a writer or whatever it is, that there's like a linear progression of like you do one job and you do a bigger job and it leads to a bigger job and it just is not like that for almost everyone. Like, it's a weird thing for me to talk about because I've had an insane, weird introduction to this industry.
What do you mean?
That was obviously very different, but I do, like, so many of my friends are in position and have watched so many friends, like, struggle with an industry that they love so much more than it loves them back often. And it just, don't be discouraged if you feel like, oh, I'm not constantly making that kind of progress, or, like, this job is, like, if you're working, you are doing it. Like, that's all that matters. Yeah.
This question is in a similar vein, but do you have any specific advice, and then you might have already sort of answered it, but for aspiring artists, somebody who's just getting started, what do you say to the person who's just starting out, who sees you all on this stage as being so far away? And
Well, those two are Broadway debuts, by the way.
Well then.
I love this question.
Well, I'm so glad you get to answer it.
My advice, so I have 1,000 day jobs, and I have always had 1,000 day jobs, mostly because I have a lot of interests, but also to stay alive, and I think it's just the truth. But at the same time, something that absolutely changed the way that I viewed auditions and viewed my life as a professional performer was doing things outside of the actual career that matter to you, whether it's volunteering or maintaining great relationships or just having a day job that you go to and you're like, I get to express my creativity in this way or in a totally different way. That has, it changed everything for me, and it took a really long time to figure out. So I don't know if a lot of you went to conservatories, and if you did, God bless you, I'm there with you. But it's challenging, and you're told like this is the way to do it, and often that idea of like everything is linear is kind of like this is what we want from you, Broadway or bust. But there are so many ways to be successful, and there are so many ways to express your creativity. And I would say go after what makes. This sounds so hokey, but go after like what really makes you light up, because that'll lead you in the right direction, and I firmly believe that.
So I had a super late introduction into theater. So when I decided to do it, I got into Pace, and then right as I was leaving, literally the next day was my flight to New York to like move here at 17. A teacher of mine brought me into his office, and he sat me down and was like, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, I have no doubt in my mind that you are going to be able to do this for your career. But if you are not in it for the long haul, because he's like, do I think that you're going to like work as soon as you get to New York? Probably not. He's like, so if you're not in it for the long haul, do not get on that plane tomorrow. And I think that I have held on to that for a really, really long time. I think because I graduated in 2019, like hit the ground running, was so excited, and then the pandemic happened. And it was like 2 years of like what everyone says is my formative time of your career was taken away, right? And then so I'm starting back in at 25, and it feels like I've already passed my prime, which is like a really crazy thing to even say out loud. But like, do you know? But do you know what I mean? Like, there was like, I was really, during the pandemic, really struggled of like, oh my gosh, it's like, I'm 22, okay, it's gonna be really impressive when I start working, and then I'm 23, and then I'm 24, and then I'm 25, and then I'm 26, and I'm making my Broadway debut, and I'm like, God, it's not, it doesn't feel as impressive, but it is, because.
Yeah, you're fine.
But do you know what I mean? Okay,
I know,
shut
I
up.
know.
But you know what I mean, okay? So all this to say is, you really do have to be in it for the long haul, because I think the thing too is like, I went to Pace, so like everyone's so fucking good there, and like so many people have booked like right out of school, and like, it's interesting to be on like one side or the other. You either book and then you get it, and then it's like the thing keeps going. It could be really linear. Or you can be on the other end of it, and you have to like work the million day jobs, which amen, I still do to this day. And you get used to like not working, and you get used to the grind and the continuation of it, so that when you do finally get here, you know that it's perfect and it's amazing and it's wonderful, but it's not guaranteed, and the next job isn't guaranteed. So you still have that grit inside of you to keep going and keep pushing to the next thing, if that makes sense.
Definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. Also, like, remember these contracts are like a few months potentially. Some are 9 months, some are 6 months, some are a year. But so if you're a performer, you know, so like once again, like you're like, I made it to Broadway, but then like you have maybe like 60 more years of life to live. So there's more jobs that are gonna come. So having those many interests, having the understanding that this job is temporary, this moment is temporary, and that there will be the next thing, and you're kind of like, yeah, you're kind of rounding out the fullness of your life, and it's not just like.
I'm gonna ask one last question, and then they're telling me to wrap up, which is you guys are all in front of the limelight here. Who is your personal Evelyn? Who's the person who is there for you behind the scenes? Who gets you through? Who doesn't necessarily get the limelight, but that is your wind beneath your wings, if you will. Thanks. I just thought of it right now.
Wow, that is really good. I'll start. My best friend, her name is Karen. We went to college together. She's a speech pathologist now, but she was in musical theater. And she's the kindest, most wonderful human being I have ever experienced in my life. She's not about the limelight, but she's all about giving in heart. And I know I would not be here on planet Earth anymore if it were not for her. She saved my life a million times over just by being loving, kind, showing me how to love a friend, how to love anyone. So that person, she's my Evelyn forever. Yeah.
Anybody else have an Evelyn they want to shout out?
Well, my amazing partner Jay and my 2-year-old daughter Lucy are my Evelyns. They come with me to the theater all the time and hang out and cheer me on, and they just are the wind in my sails, and the reason I am doing this.
I want to say I'm single.
Same.
What a nice introduction to somebody.
Well.
And I
He's looking,
So if anyone-
looking for his Evelyn.
I can't. I don't have a single Evelyn because I like so many friends. So like I'm thinking of my friend Katie, who I've known since 6th grade. I'm thinking of every person in this company. I'm thinking of the friend Jeff that I had at lunch that I lunched with today. Thinking about, this is gonna sound very random, but the tree outside of my apartment. I feel like the idea of Evelyn, this is a single person obviously talking. The idea of Evelyn being the person, the thing that grounds you, I would say that because I don't have a person that I go to, I look for it everywhere else and I find it. I really do. You can find it in a friend, in your work, in a family member. I have like
A tree.
this beautiful tree. You can find it anywhere. It doesn't have to be a person. I just wanted to speak to that to the group.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight. We want to thank American Express, the American Theater Wing's Jonathan Larson Grant, and the Stephen Sondheim Foundation for their collaboration. And one more time for the extraordinary cast of
Thank you,
Merrily, We
everybody.
Roll
Thank
Along.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, everybody.